You have done well in the tiers. I would judge you are a hunter second to none, save for me. Fatebinder, been a while since you saw me, but not since I saw you. Because you've proven you can, I'll give you this. The written testimony of a sage in witness at the Edict of Nightfall's proclamation several centuries ago. Figure out how to cast it, and in that region will be unstoppable. I have an agent that could point you to the Stone Stalkers, a tribe of beastmen that have filled the power vacuum left by the fall of Azure. Only they know the landscape of the Stone Sea. In the Blade Grave, the Stone Sea, and Haven each, there lies at least one artifact that can aid such an aura. Be prepared to travel far and wide in the effort to recover them. I will see to it that the disfavored patrols are reduced or led astray so that you might travel through the Blade Grave. The last Regent's Knight of Azure was never reported slain. She went missing after the Edict of Stone. The Azure Shield is out there, and you should make it your own. Not many can walk as we do in the darkness. Not many can keep their sanity in a state of eternal night. Look at you. The surprise of a lifetime. Can't say the Adjudicator will be so amused. Fatebinder, you were to report to Adjudicator Tunon in the Bastard City. You have not answered his summons. Will you be visiting the Adjudicator soon, or will you color my blades with the last moments of your escaping life? Think your darkness is deadlier than mine? Maybe we'll get to find out. One day. For a century, the Azure Shield went from one Regent's Knight to the next. It seems like such a little thing next to a disfavored shield, but it's a powerful relic all the same. Finding it in the maze of the Stone Sea will be a challenge. For a century, the Azure Shield went from one Regent's Knight to the next. It seems like such a little thing next to a disfavored shield, but it's a powerful relic all the same. Finding it in the maze of the Stone Sea will be a challenge. I have an agent that could point you to the Stone Stalkers, a tribe of beastmen that have filled the power vacuum left by the fall of Azure. Only they know the landscape of the Stone Sea. I have an agent that could point you to the Stone Stalkers, a tribe of beastmen that have filled the power vacuum left by the fall of Azure. Only they know the landscape of the Stone Sea. I have an agent that could point you to the Stone Stalkers, a tribe of beastmen that have filled the power vacuum left by the fall of Azure. Only they know the landscape of the Stone Sea. I have an agent that could point you to the Stone Stalkers, a tribe of beastmen that have filled the power vacuum left by the fall of Azure. Only they know the landscape of the Stone Sea. And none take this hatred to such sublime depths as the voices of Nerat. He has begun the marching chant and mobilized the Scarlet Chorus against you. You should be flattered. Only Graven Ash has ever enraged the voices this dearly. So, you found the Azure Shield. You're now the inheritor of one of the tier's most prized relics. Assuming you remember half of what I've taught you, there should be a few left in the tiers that could best you in a duel. That aura looks good on you. The Magebane, I mean. Its iron smells of charred scourge. Fascinating bit of work those Forgebound make. With it, you'll have little to fear in the old walls. Remember years back when I told you justice is just the name for the biggest sword in the realm? Claiming the Dauntless is part of establishing your own might, your own authority. Even if you dislike its heft, I'd advise you to keep the blade close. It has symbolic value beyond its martial applications. I've been watching you, Fatebinder, and I don't mean in the fun way. I want answers for what you did in the Blade Grave. I've been watching you, Fatebinder, and I don't mean in the fun way. I want answers for what you did in the Burning Library. I've been watching you, Fatebinder, and I don't mean in the fun way. I want answers for what you did in the Stone Sea. You broke an edict and survived. That made you a fluke. But then you broke another and survived it. And that makes you interesting. You will tell me how you did it. I can appreciate your caution, but if I came to kill you, you'd already be dead. You know. You only think you don't yet control it. Now this is important. How did you feel after? Yes, very unusual, as in I'll now be keeping an eye on you for the Overlord. And how did you feel after? So it does affect you, just not to the degree it does others. Now the question is, will the effect intensify or lessen for you with each subsequent edict you unravel? I'll be waiting and watching you. That sounds promising and dangerous. Now the question is, will the effect intensify or lessen for you with each subsequent edict you unravel? I'll be waiting and watching you. Yes, I'd also like to cut your tongue out right about now, but luckily for you, I don't always get to do what I want. At least tell me how you felt after. You should be. That's when I get to kill or torture someone after, but not with you. With you, I don't get to have fun, because I can't figure you out if you're screaming incoherently under my knife blade. I know a line when I hear one. I am very good at extracting secrets, especially from lips that first refuse to speak. Even if you say nothing, your shadow has already told me of your strength. It flickers like it was cast from a flame. It quivers with a power it can barely contain. I know a line when I hear one. I have learned what I came for. You shouldn't have left me waiting, kid. I once would have given you a quick death, but now I will make it slow and painful. Forgive me, Adjudicator, but this dagger now cuts for another Archon. I'm going to slice you from throat to thigh and bleed your insides out. But I'll make it quick. Adjudicator? Kid?
It would appear the court headsman is determined to make his stand. Under normal circumstances, I would curb this behavior with a swift execution. However, we have long since abandoned normalcy.
Allow this blade to cut to the point. I have an objection. Or two. Look, it's not like I have a grudge against you. I just can't let you live on Kairos' orders. I'm sure you understand. Don't distract me while I'm on the job, kid. Look, it's simple, really. I can't in good conscience sit idly in the shadows and watch the wielder of this blade bow down to another. I will not so readily be handed to another. Consider this my final test to you. Kairos has given me free rein of action to protect the Overlord's interests. The semantics are of little concern to her, though I admit they will greatly affect you. That's right, and I'm even willing to make it quick for you, so I'd appreciate it if you don't curse me with your final breath. I would not so readily hand my leash to another. God, really? Did you think I would allow myself to be used by someone like you? That you could send me to strike at the Overlord? No. I would feel your blood pool beneath my feet first. That's not going to happen, kid. I'll feel your blood pool beneath my feet first. Whether it's your blood or mine makes no difference to me. One of us will live, or both of us will die. Ha! Ha! This brightness is blinding. The trick is to keep twisting till you hear the snap. Hurts when I hit, doesn't it? Nice one, kid. Good aim. You cast an edict and became an Archon of something different indeed. You're not some wild talent breathing fire, pissing mercury, or transforming into an animal. You're tapping into the Overlord's vein of magic. Let's just say, under normal circumstances, you'd have taken a dagger in every orifice, and I'd have been picking your blood clots out of my hair a long time ago. Let's end this. I'd like to say it was fun while it lasted. Eventually, one of us has to bow or break to the other. You should know by now that rulership isn't my style. I have no desire to win this little pissing match or collect your fealty. At the same time, when you pester me with questions like that, the idea of serving you becomes more and more irritating. You know what we need to do next. Really? This is how you want to play it? You cast an edict to rival Kairos and became one of us, then you kill the Archon of Secrets. Bold moves. There isn't an Archon in the tiers who isn't considering how to best handle you. You cast an edict to rival Kairos and became one of us. Then you kill the Archon of War. Bold moves. There isn't an Archon in the tiers who isn't considering how best to handle you. I know they make you a threat, and Kairos usually has me bury threats early in life. Most with wild talents have a knack for just one or two things. Shadows in my case, songs in the case of Mistress Siren. You, however, can manifest a different sort of power. I get all sorts of execution orders. I don't read too deeply into the logic of it all. I just slice who I'm told to slice. Sometimes the order is to kill. Sometimes I observe and recruit. It's essential to find your competition early. Festering rivals rivals are bad for the peace of the Empire. Been weighing that option since you claimed the Spire in Vendrian's Well. Never had a member of the court show an Exarch's potential. Since your family, I decided to take my time, not rush to judgment. If you want me to forsake the old man, you'll need to do what he ought to have done ages ago. Slay the voices of Nerat and Graven Ash. If you're as powerful as I fear you are, let's see you put that strength to good use and rid the world of two festering problems. You never did know when to back down, kid. But luckily, I happen to like that about you. From your ultimatum, I'm guessing the only way you'll bow is if someone hacks off your legs. So I'll ask you again. Can you stand against the Adjudicator? Kairos. Good hunting, Archon. If he won't acquiesce to you, that's your problem to solve. Perhaps with my help, when the time is right. Because unlike you, I still value my standing in the court, and try to keep my underhanded conspiracies mostly to my imagination. And frankly, think of it as a test. It's obvious you have power. What's not obvious to me is that you can wield it wisely. You didn't just proclaim an edict that Kairos prepared, you cast one of your own creation. Nobody chooses to have the sort of power we have. If we did, everyone would be an Archon. It's just a gift. Sometimes it shows up young, sometimes it takes trauma or illness or childbirth for the mystical seed in a person to blossom. Edicts make sense to you? By Kairos' fist, you make it sound easy. Then again, perhaps that is your gift, a knack for imitating the magic of others? Either way, none other than the Overlord have been known to work edicts. Until now, that is. Indeed, only fools run from the inevitable. I will miss you, Archon, and should you somehow survive, then it stands to reason that I trained you well, and it's just a victory of another sort. If you're going to spit in the Overlord's eye, then do it. But I can tell you this much. You won't like it when Kairos looks your way. Fatebinder. No. Archon. Welcome back to Ashweald. You've been busy. It's best to strike swift before he can react. But the Voices is nothing if not smart. Keep cautious in dealing with the Archon of Secrets, or you'll only be running to your death. I handled you long before you became an Archon. We're on the same side. Mine. I can buy you time with the Adjudicator. Plus, the court is nothing if not exacting. Tunon won't act hastily. Rather, you should worry about the Archon of Secrets next. You always have to have it your way. Fine, we're on yours. The point is, the Voices is the one you should be worried about next. Right. Do whatever it takes. We'll talk about it later. The point is, the Voices is the one you should be worried about next. You always have to have it your way. Fine, we're on yours. The point is, the Archon of War is the one you should be worried about next. We'll talk about it later. The point is, the Archon of War is the one you should be worried about next. It's best to strike swift, before he can react. But Ash is nothing if not defensible. Keep cautious in dealing with the Archon of War, or you'll only be running to your death. Now there isn't an Archon in the tiers who isn't considering how best to handle you. You always have to have it your way. Fine, we're on yours. The point is, I'm not the Archon you should be worried about next. We'll talk about it later. The point is, I'm not the Archon you should be worried about next. You should focus first on the Archons of War and Secrets. If you can't get them to swear to you, end them. Unless, of course, you want to be felled by the combined might of their armies. A word of warning. Confront the Adjudicator at this time, and I'll have no choice but to fight you. Do not force my hand. I'd rather see you survive. Look at you. The surprise of a lifetime. Think you've earned me as your blade? I can see that you've defeated the Archons of War and Secrets. No easy feat. But are you ready to stand against the Adjudicator, the Overlord? I like you, but not so much I wouldn't stab you in the back. You'll next see me with the Adjudicator. Be ready to wield your blade. Can you sever my leash? I don't know. Maybe I should be the one to lead. But I like to think we have an understanding. So I told the Adjudicator I wanted to watch you for a while first, during which I helped you become harder to kill, helped you become an Archon. If he won't acquiesce to you, that's your problem to solve. You've defeated the Archons, but Kairos' northern armies even now march for the Tears. There's nothing you can do. Don't die too easily. Won't look good for me. Uh-huh. I'll escort you there to avoid any further confusion. For a moment, it seemed you had an interest in helping the disfavored consolidate power, but it appears that I was mistaken. You've changed your opinion on the Legion, grown disillusioned by their brand of relentless subordination. When Binder Kaleo told me you were buddying up with the voices of Narat, I thought for sure this would end with me having to stab the notion out of you. But it seems you came to your own senses and ditched that necklace schemer. The Archons curse your name for, in their words, aiding and abetting the disloyal locals. And now it would seem your dalliance with the Tearsmen has ended? Seems you have few friends left. Politics is not your skein. I saw what you did at Ascension Hall. You were right to take matters into your own hands. I can't believe the audacity of Ash and Narat, squabbling while an edict looms overhead, endangering all their vassals. You were right to treat such infantile antics with justice, raw and bloody. From where I stand, I would say you chose wisely. Why cater to the whims and agendas of questionable friends? Why whore your power for the approval of others? Kid, I've shown you 27 spots on the human body where life can be extinguished. I've made sure you know the ins and outs of every blade, cudgel, and pointed tool forged under Kairos' blazing sun. If you still don't trust me after all these years, I doubt you'll trust anyone. The Burning Library holds a very important treasure. The Silent Archive. There is much the sages do not know, but all that they know should be contained within the archive. Retrieve it, and in so doing, end the Edict of Fire. Before the war, the nation of Azure had more money than Harshian bronze. It helped that the region's Knight of Azure had a legendary shield that could make a novice competent and an expert unstoppable. Let the unbroken and the disfavored bloody themselves fighting over the peninsula. There's a greater prize to be had, the Dauntless. The heirloom blade of the Regents of Stalwart went missing during the war, and it has yet to resurface. If you wish to carve out your own independence, I recommend a legendary blade. To help abate the problem of the Bane in Lethian's Crossing, Tunon is sending a forge-bound master to the settlement with a very special relic in tow, the Magebane helm. If it lives up to the description, it should make you near impervious to the Bane. You need to be a lot more threatening than you are now, and a little study and practice won't suffice. You'll need to aim bigger. You'll need to track down the relics of Tears that escaped capture in the war. Don't try and approach me at court. Come meet me at Ashweald. It's a nice shady corner of mine. Hand me your map, and I'll show you how to get there. Assuming you don't get yourself charred to a crisp, meet me in Ashweald and we'll discuss what comes next. I know the Unbroken want the Dauntless back, and I'd wager that they think Rust Canyon is where to look. At least that seems to be where many of them are gathered, so it's as good a place as any to begin your search for the blade. During one of my strolls, I witnessed Unbroken partisans and Scarlet Chorus gangs tussling near Trapper's Junction. I know the Unbroken are desperate to recover their late regent's possessions. If I were you, I'd join in their search and claim the Dauntless for yourself. Assuming you survive the Burning Library, meet me at Ashweald. It's a little-known corner of the contested lands. I'll show you on your map. Seek out its possessor, Raytamon. He will be your target. Since you so kindly gave the helmet back to Eldian, you will need to retrieve it from him. Of course, if anyone has it, it's the Beastmen. The wild tribes have risen up and filled the power vacuum left by the destruction of Azure. I would recommend starting your search with them. You've met the Stonestalker tribe. I would start your search for the Azure Shield with them. We'd be hearing about some chorus prick challenging everyone in the Tears if the Azure Shield had fallen into human hands. So I suspect the beasts are sitting on that relic, probably not even knowing what they've got. So, you found the Azure Shield. You're now the inheritor of one of the Tears' most prized relics. Assuming you remember half of what I've taught you, there should be a few left in the Tears that could best you in a duel. That aura looks good on you. The Magebane, I mean. Its iron smells of charred scourge. Fascinating bit of work those forge-bound make. With it, you'll have little to fear in the old walls. Remember years back when I told you justice is just the name for the biggest sword in the realm? Claiming the Dauntless is part of establishing your own might, your own authority. Even if you dislike its heft, I'd advise you to keep the blade close. It has symbolic value beyond its martial applications. I've caught a few glimpses of what you did back there with the Edict of Fire. Did you mean to channel the magic of the Edict? I'll admit, I'm surprised. After such great efforts building trust, you chose, or perhaps cannot help but follow, the solitary path. I've seen what you can do. You are no mere wild talent. You are something far more unusual. And more dangerous. The other Archons will fear you, envy you, hate you in almost every manner. You have not been coronated an Archon, and yet you are uttered in the same sentences as Ash and Narat. The other Archons feel threatened, and none take this hatred to such sublime depths as the voices of Narat. He has begun the marching chant and mobilized the Scarlet Chorus against you. You should be flattered. Only Graven Ash has ever enraged the voices this dearly. It should come as no surprise that Graven Ash, Archon of War, views you as a nail in need of hammering. He's ordered the Disfavored to destroy you. They are on the march as we speak. The Azure Shield still lies in the depths of the Stone Sea. Do not forget. The Dauntless remains to be claimed in the Bladegrave. The Magebane yet awaits you in Lethian's Crossing. When you're ready, meet me at Ashweald. We'll discuss what's next. Tunon has sent a forge-bound master to the Crossing, and this Magesmith has just finished work on a masterpiece dubbed the Magebane. It's an iron helmet infused with wards against the Bane. While this is intended to help keep the settlement free of scourges from the nearby old walls, it would be of great use to you personally. For a century, the Azure Shield went from one Regent's Knight to the next. It seems like such a little thing next to a disfavored shield, but it's a powerful relic all the same. Finding it in the maze of the Stone Sea will be a challenge. A wise place to start your search. The bronze blade, known as the Dauntless, was the finest weapon in all of Stalwart. Though the blade was born for the battlefield and claimed many disfavored lives, it's since gone missing. Last seen during the spat at Sentinel's Stand. You carry a war trophy that all the disfavored or chorus would envy, the Azure Shield. If you are strong enough to capture such a prize, I wonder what else you can accomplish. And you are the next inheritor of the famed Dauntless. Well, famed to the Tearsmen, at least. I think you'll find a powerful blade matters more in life than friends or family. Besides, who needs friends when you have power? You already possess the Magebane. Quite a piece of craftsmanship, that is. The crossing is by a junction in the old walls, so you'll have a chance to put the helmet's Bane ward to the test. Think before you speak next. I'd hate to have to kill you. Tunon doesn't send me anywhere for anything that isn't an execution. And if that were the case, you'd be leaking from the neck right now. I'm here by my own accord. So listen, and listen well. Khalil and I have a bit of a wager on you. I thought you'd get yourself gutted in the civil war between the chorus and disfavored before year's end. Live a little longer, and you will make her a rich woman. Is that a joke? Smart move. Now we can talk like adults. A surprise. Didn't take you for the suicidal type. Many faster than you have tried and failed before. You should know better than that. I am bored of this game, Fatebinder. If you've satisfied yourself, we'll continue. Took long enough. Even Cairn knew how to corral his temper at times. Get laid if you're that pent up. I'm curious, what is it that you want? I have my own assumptions, but you are a member of the court, so before I leap to any conclusions that require bloodletting, I thought it best to ask you directly. Well, any one soldier in the chorus is no threat, that much is true, but Narat is planning on sending thousands of gangs to Vendrian's Well. I do not think you will be able to simply carve through them all, despite my interest in seeing you try. You should return to your lands at once, lest you wish to see the mountain spire overrun with hordemen. When you have secured your own yard, we will discuss the next steps. He considers you a fatebinder of unbecoming character, an insult to Tunon's good name, and he knows it's very unlikely anyone will rally to your aid should he attack, or at least that's what I've overheard from the shadows. I think the disfavored will effortlessly stomp through your lands unless you hurry to stop them. When you have secured the mountain spire, we will discuss the next steps. Allies are just enemies with great patience. Free yourself of such distractions and make your own way. A Fatebinder who is reviled by the Archons, yet lives. You're nothing if not amusing. Aside from the merry band you have following you, you're not exactly crawling with friends at the moment. If you really want your freedom from Tunon and the others, you'll need to become something the Archons cannot obliterate without breaking a sweat. There are a few relics around the tiers that, if they wound up in your hands, might give you a fighting chance. I'm saying you don't have a lot of friends. I mean, you don't even have a bodyguard or assistant helping you out. You could keep to this lone hawk routine, but the other Archons will be hunting you. Or you could maybe accept a little help from the shadows, grow strong enough to hunt them back, and live to see the next several hundred years. Oh, you're a petulant turd, you know that? You have other plans? Going to retire from the court to work on your crochet? You won't live long enough to even curse Kairos' name. Boredom, maybe. Old scores to settle. Plus, you're a member of the court, even if in questionable standing. That makes you family, of a type. Of course, I plan to use you to accomplish a few things I want done. Anyone who says otherwise lacks initiative or honesty. I would guess as much. I have not seen it with my own eyes, only heard tell, whispered with reverence. For all I know, it's a singing stone or an arcane quill, but knowing the sages, a book is the best guess. The Edict of Fire will burn so long as the sage's forbidden lore remains within the library. To fulfill the edict, I'd suggest disposing of any sages still in the library and removing any books filled with teachings contrary to Kairos. This no doubt includes the Silent Archive. Can't fault you for being suspicious. You'll need that skill if you want to live. And yes, I'm telling you to go nab a relic filled with heretical lore. I didn't say brag to Tunon about it. And if I wanted to trick you into holding incriminating evidence, I can think of easier ways. Why? Because Kairos worded the edict to be broken, and others will fear and respect you for being the one to make it happen. Aside from the practical point of getting you armed, uncovering these relics could lend you some legitimacy in the eyes of the Tiersmen, depending on how you go about it, of course. You're not dead yet? Good. Keep this up, as I have no interest in searching the shadows for your corpse. You don't? From my vantage point, the torrents of arcane fire didn't just vanish. They roiled and billowed like smoke. I could have sworn you were channeling that energy. Perhaps the magic was seeking you. Whatever the case, you seem a little different. You smell of brimstone and crisped parchment. You are different than before you broke the edict. I will leave it at that. Curious. Show me your map. I'll point out how to get to Lethian's Crossing. It's at the corner of an old wall's intersection. Hard to miss if you know where you're headed. You won't get any lectures about avoiding the old walls from me. Besides, a tussle with the Bane is good for you. It builds character and scar tissue. You know, I'm not the one who needs protection. Won't have much of anything left once the Adjudicator orders me to execute you. So waste what you can now. Right, because killing you directly would be so difficult and time-consuming that I am compelled to orchestrate an elaborate scheme to force someone else into doing my dirty work. Come on, kid, I'm all for incredulity, but you're being a paranoid little twit. That helmet you so kindly gave to the old man Eldian, you must keep it in your possessions. So, you killed the leader of the Stonestalkers, but didn't get the Azure Shield. It makes sense they would have enshrined it at Gulfglow. They regard the spire as a sort of ritual grounds. I promise it was nothing personal. You say it as if you have a choice. Between the two of us, who do you think the Overlord keeps on a tighter leash? Don't die too easily. Won't look good for me.